makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part.
Welcome to the very first normal video for 2022. I made a previous video short that I published yesterday. I hope you've all seen it on the top 5 worst takes on the internet of 2021. It's kind of funny and sad, but I strongly recommend you see it so my video editing skills don't go to waste. Anyway, today's video is about Hedges, who I've already made a previous video on. He is a well-known anti-establishment, anti-war advocate from the left. He's written many books, and now he's also appeared on numerous online spaces. And he's kind of going, well, I got the impression from him in his appearance on the Jimmy Dore show a couple of months ago that he was going into this anti-establishment rabbit hole, and you know where that leads you to. You know, it's where you realize that liberals are the biggest threat to the universe, and therefore we must ally with any anti-liberal or illiberal faction that we can find for the greater good, and that includes fascists. And we've seen numerous pundits take this route. You know, Glenn Greenwald, Matt Taibbi, all these charlatans. And Chris Hedges, I would have hoped he didn't fall into that one, but it's clear to me now that he has. And he appeared on Krystal Kyle and Friends and basically demonstrated that he's gone. Like he's not a leftist icon anymore in any way after what he clearly reveals in this video. So let's watch.
Where's the line in terms of reaching out to genuinely disaffected working class voters who may even be on the right and may even be hard right socially in some respects, whether it's on immigration or other issues? Where's the line between let's build a big tent that's actually a populist working class tent focused on the issues that affect us all, and what crosses that line? So, you know, do you ally with people who are hardcore anti-abortion, anti-immigration? So in other words, is there an alliance that can be made between the populist left and the populist right, focused on economics, that really can make a dent and move us more in a New Deal FDR style direction?
By the way, I really like the way this question was posed, and I think this question should be asked to every single pundit right now on the left, and their answer will really reveal to you where they stand on the key issue of whether you're a real committed leftist or you're just one of the numerous grifters who are clearly jumping on this red-brown alliance bullshit bandwagon because it makes them money. It gives them Patreon subscribers, it gives them Twitter followers, it gives them YouTube hits. It's very lucrative. It allows you to then get juicy contracts from Rumble and other sites, and you still pass yourself off, and you cultivate a following of really stupid and desperate people who perhaps were on the left once, but now definitely, they're stupid enough that they might think that they're still on the left, but they're not. So that's the grift. And let's see what he answers. And I'll tell you what I would answer as well.
There is no populist left. The populist left has retreated into a boutique kind of activism around identity politics and woke culture and, Maoist kind of control of speech. And
this strikes me as, someone of Chris Hedges' age who really probably does not spend that much amount of time online and just has been spoon-fed these ideas of, the it pole left just being completely out of control. The wokeism is out of control, and there's no discussion of class issues at all. And this is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's more ridiculous when you realize what he's going to say is after.
Stake in that for politics. That's anti-politics. So the left is committing suicide. In terms of the populist right,
apparently the populist right does exist. So the populist right, the J.D. Vances who claim to be about working class people, or the Donald Trumps and Steve Bannon who claim to be about working people, and then when they actually come to power behave exactly, if not more, like the plutocrats that they complained about, because ultimately they are bankrolled by plutocrats. Is that the populist right that does exist, Chris? Genuinely curious. Because so far, every time a populist right-winger in the US takes any sort of political power, he ends up not draining the swamp, but hiring the crocodiles. So it's really, really absurd that you're that stupid to say that there is a populist right, but somehow there isn't a populist left. Actually, it's the other way around. There is no populist right. They're still, fundamentally libertarians in sheep's clothing, and are fooling people. They're using the rhetoric of populism on the right, nativism, anti-immigration, etc., to stoke the support of those of people who have genuine class interests. And then when these idiots come to power, they stomp on their face yet again.
I think that the only hope is to build alliances, and you're right that is the solution, to build in terms of re-empowering a disenfranchised working class, is to build alliances around specific issues. For instance, the Kellogg strike, the attempt to unionize Walmart or Amazon. It's interesting. I've taught now in the prison, and I know Krystal's looked at my new book about this for over a decade. So I'm finally getting these students who are brilliant students.
By the way, I truly doubt that any populist right politician in the US would dare break up Amazon. They wouldn't. If they had all the power to do so, they wouldn't do it. Why? Because they are crony capitalists, ultimately. They would campaign on, we have to fight against big tech, etc. Once they're in power, they won't do anything. They absolutely won't do anything.
Students, this is through Rutgers, so they get their college degree. A lot of my students graduate summa cum laude, which is hard enough at Rutgers, but imagine doing that from a prison cell. What I've seen is that students who maintain a 3.1 average are allowed to matriculate and finish their degree at Rutgers. And a lot of my students have been involved, and they're almost all black, have been involved in organizing the service workers at Rutgers, a lot of whom are white and a lot of whom are Trump supporters.
This is the question that I would pose Chris Hedges and anyone else who talks, who waxes lyrical about these alliances, these working class alliances. Give me an example of one, because this isn't an example of one. This is an example of people, in this case, the prisoners, who he just said are mostly black, and therefore I presume lean a bit more left than the white Trump-supporting service workers. It's them organizing the others. So here's the thing. The reason why these stupid red-brown alliances should not exist is because left politics inherently is for the benefit of everyone. You don't need to ally with racist, xenophobic, anti-trans, anti-immigrant, whatever, idiots from the right at all. That's the thing. When you say I'm for Medicare for all, it's Medicare for everyone, including right-wingers. When you say you're in favor of unions, it's so everyone can join a union. Left politics is, in essence, universalist in that sense. And what we don't have to then deal with is having to ally with these idiots who then, when we decide to share power because we did this in this alliance, now we have to take into account their racism, their violence, their desire for a completely different endgame than the left wants. Because the right may agree on certain issues of class politics, the populist right, at an individual level. But the end game, the society that they want, is so vastly antithetical to what any sane leftist would want that we should tell them to go fuck themselves. Okay? And these are not people that we want to ally with. These are not people we want to share power with. Period. And that's what Chris Hedges doesn't understand. And neither him nor Brianna Joy Gray nor Krystal Ball, who's also in this red brown let's sympathize a bit with white supremacists, the Katie Halpers of this world, and to some extent the Kyle Kalinskis as well. None of these people can give me an example, a practical example of in what situation an alliance would be worth it, and how this would plan out. It's just in their minds. But they have no actual framework of what that alliance looks like.
And that is really, and I think that the point you raised is a good one. That is really where we have to go. And Lord Salisbury, who was a piece of work, used to say there are no permanent allies. There's only permanent power. So on specific issues, yes, we do have to build an alliance with people who don't think like us. When I sued Obama in 2012 over Section 1021 of the National Defense Authorization Act, which overturned the 1878 Posse Comitatus Act, which prohibits the military from being used as a domestic police force, we were joined in amicus briefs by a lot of libertarian groups. Very right-wing libertarian groups, and we accepted those amicus briefs.
Here's the thing. First of all, as horrible as libertarians are, I think they're slightly less repugnant than your average far-right populist. Broadly speaking, libertarians are anti-war, pro-immigration. Not all of them. A lot of them just pay lip service. But see, this is the kind of example that I would love him to give on this fictitious red-brown alliance that he's waxing lyrical about. I would love him to give a practical example of how a left populist and a right populist group of people can organize together to achieve the same goal. He doesn't have an example. He doesn't.
So that it was a united front, along with Noam Chomsky and Daniel Ellsberg and others. So yes, we do have to build alliances. Much of my family, my mother's side of the family, comes from rural Maine. They were, working class, lower working class even. My uncle, who was kind of a wreck after World War II, he fought in the South Pacific, lived in a trailer. They espoused all sorts of opinions and prejudices that were repugnant to me, but it was a good reality check because they too suffered. I mean, Maine has been destroyed. The mills are gone. The town where my grandparents were from, even the bank is boarded up. And they express it in a very negative and unpalatable way, but we can't write these people off. That's a terrible, terrible.
No one is writing them off. No one is saying we shouldn't sympathize with rural white right-wingers. No one is saying that. What we're saying, or what I'm saying, is that what type of alliance do you want to give? What is your framework for this alliance? How does this rural Maine far-right person fit into a leftist strategy for achieving power and obtaining certain policy objectives? Just votes? Really? This guy's gonna ever vote for, say, a progressive Democrat? If for example, a progressive Democrat was the nominee for president, you think a guy who's like full on MAGA hat, trailer truck guy is gonna vote, even though they share some commonality in terms of economic policy? No, they won't, because this guy is gonna vote for whoever promises to build a fucking wall. in Mexico. That's what he's going to vote for. Because these people, the old Andrew Breitbart saying, politics is downstream for culture. These people are voting culture. They will not vote for their class interests. So good luck, Chris Hedges, building this alliance, this fictitious alliance, which you have provided zero examples of how it's going to be, and zero imagining of what framework this alliance would have to achieve power. And more importantly, should such an alliance come to power, how on earth are you going to be able to make it so that the right-wing endgame is not the one that ends up actually happening?
Mistake. And I think that when we do show actual empathy and compassion for the suffering that they have undergone and attempt to address those issues that will make their life better in a real way, not a rhetorical way, but in terms of organizing and everything else, that is the best way to mitigate this kind of, political neo-fascism. I mean, there's going to be a certain segment we're never going to reach, of course. But
really, a tiny, minuscule segment like this, 4 in 10 Republicans who say political violence may be necessary, that's a tiny segment, apparently, to Chris Hedges. Should we just, forget for a moment that the far right is responsible for the grand majority of domestic terrorist attacks in the US since 9/11? Are we just going to forget that? No. This is why this is such a bullshit argument. It's such a bullshit argument because it's not a tiny minority that you can't work with. It's a huge fucking share of the voting population that you cannot work with because they have been radicalized so much over the last couple of decades, and especially over the last decade, that they're just gone. They're gone. You cannot build policy thinking about these people. You can make policies that benefit them because, like I said, a leftist universalist project would benefit everyone. And I do believe, and I think he's sort of hinting at that, and on this I agree, that the only way to de-radicalize these people is to actually have leftist policies that benefit them. So they realize, hey, we were maybe a bit wrong about these guys. We see a material benefit in our lives. We don't have to worry about so many things that we used to worry about. And if the less we worry about these things, the less we'll blame immigrants, the less we'll blame, the wokes and the supposed cancel culture and all that bullshit that they're obsessing about. That's how you do it. But you don't have to build a fucking alliance with them. You don't. Okay? You don't.
Writing these people off as deplorables and the kind of gleeful, almost demonization of these people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th.
Are you fucking joking, dude? Are you fucking joking? We're not supposed to demonize people who went into the Capitol, who would have cheered if they had caught any member of the squad and maybe have killed them live. Are you kidding me? Is this a joke? What is wrong with this guy? What is fucking wrong with these people? Is this the universal dumb left talking point that you have to just play down the January 6th insurrection? Is this the badge that they all have to wear? Holy shit. This is why this guy is gone. He's gone. This guy you can't reason with him.
Is only furthering the divide, which weakens us and helps solidify the monolithic corporate power that has our political structure in a kind of death grip.
There you go. I don't know if there was any pushback from Kyle or Krystal. I am not planning on paying $5 a month to listen to these two people. I suspect that there wasn't much pushback, because if not, it might have been a heated debate, and they would have included that in the snippet. I would love to hear from anyone if there was indeed a pushback on this argument, but I suspect there wasn't, because broadly speaking, Krystal Ball and Kyle Kalinske, less so Kyle Kalinske, but definitely Krystal Ball, after hanging out all this time with Sagar and agreeing on 90% of everything, all these people want you to give an impression that, the populist right and the populist left have more in common than they have different. And that's fucking untrue. That is a lie. There could be no bigger difference in the type of society that you would see from the far right and the far left. Just night and day. Okay? And for millions of people who don't happen to be white, one of those endgames would be particularly horrible. And I don't think the left, any sane leftist, should have any role in contributing to that endgame. Which is why this idea of a red-brown alliance is complete bullshit. And if you believe in it, I'm sorry, you're not a leftist. You're not a leftist. Because any ground you cede to these far-right populist motherfuckers, they're going to screw you over in the end. Because their politics are not universalist. And they will have no problem living in a society where they benefit because of the color of their skin, while everyone else gets fucked. So, fuck you, Chris Hedges. And fuck anyone who believes in this red-brown alliance bullshit. You're not leftist. Wear the right-wing badge with honor, because that's what you are. And on that note, if you like this video, please like, please share. Most importantly, please subscribe. As you can see, my New Year's resolution is to be even more passionate and swear more. So you'll see more of that. Yeah. On that note, again, hope everyone had a good New Year's. Hope the hangover isn't too bad, and I'll see you next time. Take care.